welcome to my kitchen. So what you're going to need today for preparing a coffee enema is 1, a stainless steel pot, 2, something to strain your coffee grains. You can use these. These right here are basically a hemp diaper. They're not bleached because I don't want anything that's been bleached. You can also use cheesecloth would also work. I like these better, or maybe like an old t-shirt that's not bleached, or a new t-shirt that's not bleached. I want to use something where the cheesecloth, those grains really get stuck into the cheesecloth and you end up having to really wash those out really well. So these are great because they rinse out really well. They leave out all the grains of the coffee grains and they get thrown into the wash really well. You will also need, so what I'm going to be working with you is I'm actually going to be making a gallon because there's 2 people who are going to be doing it. But since it's just you who are going to be doing it, we are only going to make a half a gallon. So you are going to need a half a gallon of water plus a little bit more because we're going to be making a concentrate, and so it boils, and then we want to make sure that we're left with a full half gallon. Then you will also need 2 cups of your therapy coffee. This is not just organic coffee. This is therapy coffee. It is one where it hasn't been roasted in a specific way, in a way that's adding carcinogens, because you want whatever is ever going into your body to be super clean, because it's going directly to your bloodstream. It's passing all of those basically those filtering mechanisms and going straight up to your bloodstream. So this here too, just let you know, your water needs to be 1 distilled, or 2 you can use Berkey water, which takes out most everything. But you can't use like a Brita, you don't want to use anything like that. It needs to either be Berkey water or distilled water. And then obviously your stuff to measure it, and I will show you the stuff later. So now we're gonna get it all prepared. Right now I've got my 1 gallon on the stove. You will have your half gallon. I am going to be putting in 4 cups of coffee grains. You will be putting in 2. Okay, so now that I got all set, I'm going to go ahead and I want this cranking because I want this to boil. So right now, I'm just kind of stirring in those grains a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. Once it starts boiling, they'll mix in a lot better. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the top on, and we are going to let it come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, then we're actually going to pull the top off and let it boil for 5 minutes. After that 5 minutes is up, we will place the top back on and we will let it simmer for 15. And we have ourselves a boil. So now I'm going to pull the top off, and I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so while we're waiting for it to boil, I want to have a little conversation about coffee enemas and kind of a little bit of what they do. So here's the thing, is that when our body is intaking good nutrients, it finally allows our cells to be able to release the toxins. Well, where do those toxins go? Those toxins go right into our bloodstream, and everything that is in the blood gets filtered through the liver. Okay, there are 2 different kinds of toxins. There's water soluble and fat soluble. Both filter through the liver first. Then the water soluble filters through the kidneys and goes out as urine, and the fat soluble continues through the liver, gets mixed in with the bile, shoots out through the bile, and goes out as our number 2s. So here's the thing, every toxin that is in our body is going through the liver, whether it is environmental, whether it's from unclean eating. So we have our food, our soil, our water, we have any drug that we've ever taken. All of it is gunking up our liver. So we have some level of toxicity in our body that we want to get rid of. We want our body to be able to function properly in the way that God created them to function. So let's talk a little bit about what the body does when we do a coffee enema. So all of that toxic bile is stored in the gallbladder, which is right there on that little bit of the liver. And so what happens is when you intake your coffee enema, it goes right into your colon, and in your colon you have these hemorrhoidal veins, and basically the coffee is absorbed through the hemorrhoidal veins and shoots right up to the liver. It stimulates the liver to basically make the gallbladder do this bile dump where all of those toxins are stored. And the crazy thing is that duct of where that toxin comes out is only 4 millimeters in diameter. And so what it does is it allows it to stimulate, to actually open up, and then the water of the coffee kind of flushes it out and allows that to get dumped into the colon and out of your body where you don't want it. This allows the free flow of the toxic bile to exit your body, and it gives your liver time to rejuvenate. Also, what is really cool is that caffeine, the coffee, basically has something that is very high in palmitic acid. The cool thing about the palmitic acid is that it increases the production of the liver detoxifying enzyme glutathione S transferase by 600 to 700%. What that does is in the bloodstream, it basically collects those free radicals, those things that are causing disease in your body, and bringing them right into submission. So they are basically in the blood, and when the blood is passing through the liver, so you're going to hold that coffee enema for 15 minutes, because every 3 minutes that blood filters through that liver. Isn't that wild? So if you're holding it for 15 minutes, 5 times your blood is being purified. This does not work by drinking coffee orally. When you drink coffee orally, it goes down into your stomach and it actually transfers right up to your brain. And so that is why we can get things like the jitters, while we can have lack of sleep, and it also gives us that feeling of increased energy. Let's talk a little bit about where coffee enemas came from. In World War I, Germany was surrounded by the Allies. They could not get morphine or anesthesia or any of those kind of supplies into the wounded. So the surgeons were working around the clock trying to take care of their patients. And so the patients had enough morphine basically for the surgery, but after they would wake up from the surgery, there was nothing to alleviate their pain from having something amputated or any of those atrocities that happened during war. So what was happening is that as these patients were suffering, the nurses who were watching this were getting very, very frustrated. And so there was coffee available. And so they were thinking, hey, coffee works great for these surgeons and to help keeping them going and to keep them stimulated. So let's stick this in the patient's enema buckets. Enemas were very, very common during time of any form of surgery, any kind of medical procedure, because people knew the importance of toxins that are basically in our bowels and that are in our feces, and that the longer that they sit there, the more that those are spreading through the body. So to give the body the healthiest chance possible is to remove as much of that as you can before beginning a surgery. So that was just common practice. So the enemas were already ascribed to the people, which were mainly of saline or anything just to remove anything that was hanging out in the colon. But these nurses decided to basically put this coffee into their enema buckets. And so strangely enough is that the patients started communicating that they had very, very little pain. So our 5 minutes is up, and now we're going to turn this bad boy down right onto low for a simmer. We're going to place the top back on and reset our timer for 20 minutes. So we have our liquid wonderness already, and so it's all hot. You could wait until it cooled down more if you want, but for the sake of my day, I'm going to move forward. So basically, I have my strainer here and then my double strainers up on top. You could even use something like this. I just happen to like the shape of this better. Sam is way better at this than I am. So he's normally the one that makes the concentrate, just because I tend to make a mess. But you could do this over, I usually do it over the sink, but for the sake of the video, I'm doing it right here. Okay, I'm just gonna let it drain a little bit before continuing, because I don't want it to go past my little guys here. So I'm just finishing up the last leg here, and there is still some good liquid in there, so I just kind of go until I see it stop running, and then I'll bring this right to my sink and rinse it out because I have a garbage disposal. So we have finished straining. One of the benefits of waiting till it's cooled down a little bit is that you're not dealing with all this heat as you kind of get out the last bit of strain from it. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to basically kind of push out the last little bit. If it wasn't as hot, I would probably push out even that much more. But right now, I should have a gallon and you should have a half a gallon. Now that I have my concentrate all ready, I want to put it in a jar in which I can keep it in the fridge and then pull it out each time I need to make my actual coffee enema. So I'm going to take this, and I have this little funnel just to help because I'm messy. And there I have my half gallon of concentrate. So this is not what we're going to actually be putting up us directly. So we're going to be mixing it with water. This is just so that I don't have to brew coffee every single day to go do one enema. So this right here should be enough for 8 enemas. So now I'm going to show you how to basically make what you need to go to your bathroom and actually do your coffee enema. So here is our concentrate that we already made. Normally this will have been sitting in the fridge, and so it would be cold. So basically, assuming that this is cold, we're going to pretend this is cold, okay? I basically put in 1/4, okay, 1/4 of my quart jar. And like I said, we can do 8 enemas with this. Put this guy right back in the fridge. Okay, so assuming that this is cold water, then I would take my hot water and I would put in a little bit of hot, and then I would go over to either my distilled jug of water, or for me, I'm going to go over to my Berkey and fill up the rest with the room temperature water. I'm trying to bring my coffee enema to a little bit above body temperature. So it really depends on how you like it, and you will basically figure out how better you can hold it. Some people hold it better like right at body temperature. Some people hold it better when it's closer to more of a room temperature, and some people hold it better when it is higher than their body temperature. So you'll have to play it around. For me, I feel like the warmer it is, the harder it is for me to hold it. If it's really cold, it's very hard for me to hold it. So I really try to shoot for a middle ground. So that's all ready. That's my coffee concentrate. However, my coffee concentrate is rather costly. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can hold this for 15 minutes. If I already have a whole bunch of stuff hanging around in my colon, then it's very hard to hold 32 ounces in me. So what I like to do first, unless I have just gone to the bathroom and I've done a number 2, what I will do is called a ozonated enema. And this is basically like a water enema, not like a saline, but basically I'm filling it up to with body temperature water. You can either put in 6 drops of food grade hydrogen peroxide, which I believe is 30% hydrogen peroxide, or you can use a water ozonator to ozonate your water. So the cool thing about when you put in the hydrogen peroxide or you put in the ozonator is basically creating an environment that bacteria cannot live. So when you put it up in you, you want to put it up in you fast. You're kind of flushing it up in you. When you flush it up in you, anything that's hanging out there that you don't want there is going to make its way out. So sometimes you will see things such as worms or other things that were hanging out there. The water that has been ozonated hits it and they instantly die, and then when you release stuff out, they will be hanging out in your potty and no longer hanging out in your body. Okay, so I'm ready to do my enema. I've got my cozy pants on. I've got my kids all in a place where they're not going to be coming and bothering me while I'm trying to rest and relax and hold my enema. This is not a professional video, so you probably see my daughter through the mirror. So, anyways, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start ozonating my water. You are free to invest in one of these ozonators. There's lots of benefits of them that you could read and that maybe at some point I will share. I'm not going to do that right now. But however, for the purpose of what you need to do, the hydrogen peroxide would work just as well. And actually, that is what they use at the Gerson clinics. So this water ozonator is on for 5 minutes. It basically ozonates for 5 minutes. Then while I'm waiting, I basically lay down what I'm going to be laying down. Obviously, you want to be close to a toilet. Mine happens to be there. This is actually my girls' bathroom. This isn't even our bathroom. So, but their bathroom is bigger than ours, so I'm using this one for the example. So I lay it down. A lot of people in the Gerson clinic, when they're first learning how to do coffee enemas, they're really messy at it. So a lot of times they'll use like a shower curtain and then lay down a towel on that shower curtain. You can do that. A lot of people also use yoga mats. And I don't tend to like to use the yoga mats because I feel like if for some reason you do not make it to the bathroom, then they're really hard to clean up. Blankets or towels to me are way easier for me to, if for some reason that there's something that gets on them, then I can just throw them in the wash. So right now I have my area set up. I have my ozonator running. Right now I'll also take you to show you our bucket. Here is our bucket. I like to use the clear plastic buckets, and you're probably thinking, wait, April, you're not supposed to be using plastic because of the carcinogens. But however, because our coffee enema is not, it's just body temperature. It's not doing anything to basically cause any heat or any kind of plastic carcinogens to seep in anywhere. So I like it clear because I want to be able to see how much I have going in me. Also too, I kind of am able, I've done it enough to be able to regulate where I'm slowly allowing it to go into my body when I'm doing the coffee. The water I kind of flush in. To me, that's like a quick rush in, a quick rush out, just to clear out whatever's in there. So when I have, let's talk about the tube for a second too. So a lot of times when you get an enema bucket, it just has this white hard plastic thing at the end. That's not what you want. You need this nice little red thing because you want to be able to get this up through your colon so that where those hemorrhoidal veins are when your liquid is dumping into your colon, it's not getting absorbed into places to where your hemorrhoidal veins are not. You want them going right to the hemorrhoidal veins because the hemorrhoidal veins is what is going to bring it right up to your liver so that you can do that bile dump. I like these ones right here. There are different ones that have a click, 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 and those work fine too. This one is just a little bit more accurate than the click, click, clicks. And so very similar to like an IV line that you would see in a hospital. So I basically set it up real close to the edge so that I can be swooping down. You'll be able to watch your flow right here through the drip mechanism, just very similar to like an IV line. And yeah, and so right now I'm just continuing to wait. I make sure I have enough toilet paper in the bathroom, and I usually make sure that I'm either reading a book or that I have my phone with me, and that would be a time where I might respond to my messages or check my Facebook. I'll listen to a sermon, any of those things that I can tie two things together while I'm doing my enema. Okay, my ozone is done, and so what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to close this off so that the water doesn't come pouring out. Then I'm going to put it into my bucket. And then I'm going to come over here to my sink. If I'm close to my potty or my shower, I'll just dump it right in there anywhere. And basically you don't want to put air into your bottom. So I'm basically getting it towards a good, nice stream flowing out. And there we go. Okay. All right. So a lot of people would like to lubricate this before putting it up. You don't want to use a Vaseline. You can use a coconut oil. One of the best things that you can use is apricot oil. So apricot seed oil, and so you can get that off of Amazon. You can get a nice big thing of it for $10. The reason I would prefer to use that instead of the coconut oil, my husband uses coconut oil, is because that coconut oil also kills things. It's also kind of like a clogging agent. So we want stuff like free flowing. So you can use even like an olive oil would work, anything, just make sure that it's organic, food grade, good stuff going in your bottom, because whatever you're putting up down there gets absorbed into your body right away. The next thing that I would do is that I would pull down my pants, and I would, you need to be laying on your right side. And so I'm going to get in the position, I'm going to put a blanket over myself, so you can basically see the position that you need to be laying in to administer a coffee enema. Okay, so I'm all ready. I have removed my pants, and I have my towel over me. I'll keep my towel over me in case I have any munchkins who decided to not listen to the boundaries and come into the bathroom while I'm doing a coffee enema. And this would be when you would lubricate it. What I find one of the best ways to lubricate it is that the tops that I have on my jars, I just put a little bit of the oil in there, and then because this thing kind of wraps around, I just kind of like stick it into the cap. Okay, so it's all nice and lubricated. So I'm laying on my right hand side, I'm laying down, and I'm kind of have my legs in a curved position. When I'm ready to insert the tube, I'm going to lift my top leg or my left leg up and basically open up this area, and then I would reach back and I would slowly and very carefully insert 6 to 8 inches. Okay, I have assumed the position. Everything is in that it should be in, and so I have my little module guy here, and I'm basically going to, this time is not slow, it's going to be fast. So I just turn it up all the way like this, and you can see how fast it's pouring out right over there. And it's going fast. And Ava, if you can actually go right up to the bucket, you can see how quickly the bucket is draining. And that is all going into my colon or my bate. Okay, so I've completed the ozonated flush. Anything that was hanging out on the end is gone. Any critters that might have been hanging out there are gone. So now what I'm ready to do is I am ready to start my coffee enema. And this is relaxation time, ladies. So I'm going to put in my coffee. And just like I did before, I'm going to take my end here. And I'm going to basically make sure that I have gotten, so you should start to see coffee run through. Once I start to see coffee run through, I'll turn it off. And then I am all ready to begin my coffee enema. And I will assume the same position and insert the same way, except I will have a very slow flow going in. So if you see here that I have a really slow drip, then I can do a little bit more of a drip. I can do a nice stream. I can do a slower stream. Okay, or I can do a full out stream. I wouldn't suggest that for your coffee enema unless you're in a hurry. So for me, I usually do a nice slow steady stream like that. So from this point on, when you start inserting it, I would start 20 minutes because I would say it would probably take about 4 minutes to get in you, and then you want to hold it through those 5 cycles since you're, so basically every 3 minutes that you are holding it, your blood is getting purified 1 time, and your body will be dumping that nasty bile into your bottom stuff. So a tip for holding it in, 1 would not be talking while you are doing your coffee enema. 2 is that about every 3 minutes, when your blood is doing that circulation, you'll actually feel the urge of like, oh, it's gonna come out, like I need to go to the bathroom right now. But if you choose to, kind of like a contraction that you have during labor, is to kind of breathe through it in your nose, out through your mouth, and actually say things like, no, I'm going to hold it, so that you actually pinch it. That sensation will go away in about 20 to 30 seconds. So if you can bear with that 20 to 30 seconds, what will happen naturally is that your body will just naturally start to hold it. But when you're first learning, you're going to have those sensations of where you're going to have to mind over matter it, pinch it, and then you'll be able to go to a place where you can relax again for about another 3 minutes. Then you'll have that intensity for just another few seconds, and then so on. And that cycle will, go while you're trying to hold it, while your body is trying to learn to hold the coffee.